That's... Here's that Washington Post mashup of the gang from his favorite network we were talking about. Take a look.
This is yet another attempt to impeach the president. And sadly, it seems they care very little for any of the destruction they are leaving in their wake. We must test for the virus in order to stop the spread of it. What could be a very great recession. Some predicting even a depression.
We're going to call out anyone and everyone who's using this virus as a political weapon against the president. The standard flu every single year kills tens of thousands of Americans. We are now entering what will be the crucial defining 15-day period as it relates to this virus, where we must slow the spread of coronavirus.
It's actually the safest time to fly. Everyone I know that's flying right now, terminals are pretty much dead. We have a responsibility to slow down this virus and to think of other people during this time. And so if you can keep your distance and prevent someone from getting close to you that might be sick, you could save your family, you can save the elderly, and help our country as a nation.
So what are Fox viewers supposed to make of all of this pivot?
Well, I think this back and forth is why I feel everyone should be checking multiple sources when they're talking about anything going on in the world. There was a time where even in a high school paper, you had to have 2 or 3, sources. I think right now people are locking into their corners and only consuming certain parts, which is why I, again, am finding so much comfort in looking at doctors right now. This is a medical problem. It's a pandemic. Doctors are the place to go right now.
Well, but we saw those mixed messages coming directly from the top. We saw those mixed messages coming from the president. And I think that Fox News, as we know, has sort of been the mouthpiece of the administration. We saw a tone change from the administration, and Fox News, I think, followed suit. So what should the Fox viewer, and we know, if you look at the stats, the Fox viewer really turns on Fox News in the morning and keeps it on.
They statistically keep it on for 8 hours a day.
They keep it on for 8 hours a day. Those are the stats. And so, I think that, with the president always saying fake news, fake news, fake news, and his supporters believing it, and Fox viewers believing it, they now are they should be at least, in a really strange place. They now should be in a really strange place. What do they believe? They should be where you are, Sarah. They should believe a Dr. Fauci. They should believe the medical experts.
Dr. Ashton, Dr. Oz, Dr.
But will they? But will they?
One of the interesting revelations to come out of this is that it was actually Tucker Carlson that convinced the President Trump to start believing in the realities of the coronavirus.
Is that right?
Yep, there are reports that Tucker Carlson actually drove from his house in Florida to Mar-a-Lago to convince President Trump, and he was one of the people, and this is sourced multiple places, and he was actually one of the people that ended up changing the president's mind.
See, that doesn't give me comfort, because he should be listening to Fauci.
Can I finish my thought as the Fox employee, ex-employee, and it is important at this point, again, it's the #1 most powerful cable news program they lap every other network by a lot. So instead of sitting here and judging viewers for over a period of time, we can have this conversation when I think it's more appropriate why they distrust so much of the mainstream media. I think instead we should implore the executives at Fox News, if God forbid anything ever like this happens again, to put more doctors on air with some of these pundits who are, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying I'm a doctor. I never have, but putting in place medical professionals who know what they're talking about. And I think that was part of the problem. But you get so hunkered down in places, I think even as me, just like the only conservative in the entire world left on mainstream media, at least that's how it feels most of the time, you hunker down and you get tribal and you're like, oh, but it's got to be an attack against the president. It's got to be an attack against Republicans. But the problem is when you're dealing with a pandemic, and by the way, we had it happen on this show as well. Not with me, but we had it happen on this show as well, lest we forget. So a Republican saying that it was, that we should wash our hands and pray it away. So it wasn't just on Fox News that it was happening. It happened right here in The View.
See, and again, it gives me no comfort that the president, as opposed to listening to Dr. Fauci, who I think has been raising the alarm, not only with the president, but also in front of Congress. He has the woman who led the team during the AIDS, I think it's Birx, who led the team during the AIDS epidemic. He has real professionals, doctors surrounding him. Rather than listen to his team, he's listening to Tucker Carlson. No shade to Tucker Carlson, but come on, that gives me no comfort.
He's been very responsible in his coverage since the beginning, though. I will say, I think he deserves some credit.
But does that really surprise you, Sonny?
It doesn't surprise me,
Again,
but it gives me no comfort.
You also have to remember that everyone is watching Fox News from home.
Yep.
So whatever they think, whatever politics there is, the reality is everybody's in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't matter, you know, who figures what. We're living it. Fox News people, ABC News, wherever we are all living this together. And that's the great equalizer. It doesn't care about your politics. The coronavirus will mess you up.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said, Whoopi. We'll be right back.
Thank you.